see if they can keep the rest of the pack behind them as the lights are now going on. And we are about to get things underway. And away they go, and a fantastic start from Edmondson, but Brennan seemed to bog down on the line and almost looked like he'd parked it. So that looks like Edmondson's going to have a clean getaway into turn one, but let's just be interesting to see where Brennan shakes out in the order in the early start. And indeed, he's really dropped down. He looks like he's going to be losing places hand over fist as we're going 3 and 4 wide down the straight as we did in race 1.
Yeah, this is not at all what Jordan wanted to make of that start as we go down. I believe that's Isaac trying to go up the inside of Jordan there. Isaac's going to get the traction on exit. Jordan's on the curb there. Max Bird getting squarely behind him, and all of them have the run on Andy Carroll. So down to turn 3 here, Jordan's going to get the job done up the inside. As we see, Mike Epps is also coming through the pack.
Yeah, and Robbie Stapleford just looking further back, got past McIntyre as well early on. He's looking like he's trying to follow Epps through, but Epps is up into 8th now. Jordan Brennan dropped back down. He's settled in 7th place. But Edmondson has got a clean start. Johnson's in 2nd place. Oliver 3rd. Isaac Smith 4th. Robbie Butler in 5th. I mean, look how close they are, Dave. They're almost wheel to wheel. They're going 2 and 3 wide through these corners now. They're really pushing. This is proper reverse grid racing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the timing sheet. I can't keep up. I can't keep up. The positions are just changing so frantically. But yeah, I mean, we've got Robbie here really on a charge here.
He's just got past Epps.
He's got past
the trips, yeah.
Oh, as I say that. Oh, as Epps is up the inside. That there is what makes a championship driver. Mike Epps was up the inside. Robbie had the overlap. It would have been so easy there for Mike to just keep his foot in. That would have taken Robbie out, taken him out of the race. Just a little tap of the brake, tucked back in, and he's there to fight later on in the race. That's great driving.
Yeah, great driving from all drivers involved because they all got through that with no contact, and like I say, it's very easy for drivers at any point to keep the foot in, and contact can lead to not 1, not 2, but 3 and 4 cars, and even more sometimes getting taken out. As we're just looking here now with Epps, and he's got Dorman to his right and Bird, but Epps, it's all a bit confusing as they all go through there. Let's see how things shake out, but it's looking like Epps has gained a few positions, and importantly, he's staying in touch, or trying to stay in touch with Stapleford.
Yeah, I mean, that there, dare I say, I probably represented that a bit like them cooking shows you see where they make a perfect dish and then try it, and then, you know, you think, why you make that expression, but that overtake there, 2 cars up the inside, using that outside line into that hairpin to really get the traction, get the car rotated, and you saw the traction advantage he had on exit. You know, doing 2 cars in 1 corner, that's creme de la creme, should we say.
Wow, that was a yeah, words escape me. But Stapleford's up to 6th place now, closing in on Brennan. He's 3/10 off the back of Brennan at the moment, who's in 5th. Isaac Smith 4th. So still very, very close battling as you would expect, but Edmondson keeping his nose clean, 1.4 seconds clear of Johnson in 2nd. Charlie Oliver, who didn't have the greatest of race 1s, is in 3rd position, so he's looking good as we've just seen things get a little bit tight through turn 1.
Yeah, I believe that was it was Isaac Smith, maybe? It was Charlie Oliver, I believe. Yes, we see Isaac and Charlie here really battling hard. As this is Jordan Brennan trying to go up the inside of Rob Butler into the hairpin. Late brakes, Jordan trying to get the traction. Rob will get the cut back, but you can see Jordan's got the traction exit down to turn 3. Rob will be thinking, getting the slipstream here, might stand a chance, but at the end of the day, Rob's in a good place here. You know, he'll want to bring the points home.
Yeah, never count him out, but Jack McIntyre's not had the greatest start to race 2. He's still down there in he's just putting it into 10th place, albeit if he can make this move stick on the inside of Walters. But yeah, he's not made the progress, obviously, that the other guys have made that started alongside him, and he seems to have been getting caught up in a few little battles and not really getting the overtakes that he needs to get back up into the sort of top half of the field.
Yeah, I'll tell you who has had a good drive. Robin Walters has come from the very back of the grid after his DNF to now running 11th place, battling with Jack McIntyre and Andy Dorman behind him. So that's a great drive from Robin to get nearly into the top 10 already within the first 5 minutes of the race.
Yeah, very much, and that's when you've got to do it, isn't it? That's when you've got to make it count. You make every overtake count, and you hit all those apexes, hit the braking markers, and get on the power as fast as you can, because that's when your tyres are at the best, and there's no compromise, is there? You can you can make those moves count, as we're seeing Stapleford do. He's up into 5th place now, and he's 1.3 seconds back on Oliver. So let's just watch that time and see how fast that gap comes down, if it does at all. I expect it to.
Yeah, as we see there, Martin Johnson nearly got taken around the outside off by Isaac Smith. Martin Johnson, fair, he's trying to give Isaac a hard time there. He's going, you're not coming around the outside, but Isaac just managed to get the car rotated enough. But as you see, Martin Johnson's actually come back. Charlie Oliver up the inside, 3 into 1. Oh, we knew that wasn't going to work, didn't we?
No, and that's just gifted Stapleford 2 positions and put Stapleford back on the podium for race 2 after a race 1 win. So already after 3 laps, he's on the podium from 12th place on the grid.
Yeah, I mean, what we should look at here really is Max Edmondson. I'm trying to touch wood here. I'll touch wood again. There we go. Max Edmondson, 4.5 seconds in the lead. I'm not saying he's laughing, but he really just needs to manage his tyres here. We saw in the last race, maybe he cooked his tyres a bit too much. It's really hard once Temp gets into these tyres to get them back out. So he really needs to just watch his tyres, drive a really smooth race, even if Charlie starts closing that gap. Don't push the car too hard, let the race come to you, and this race should be Max's.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's looking like Stapleford's really pushing as well, as we're looking at Rob Butler now in 6th place, but battling very, very hard with Max Bird and Jack McIntyre close behind. And close behind Jack McIntyre is still Walters and Dorman, so there's a few cars involved here if anything goes wrong. But it's Max Bird has got past Butler there before they even get into the braking zone of turn 2.
Yeah, I believe actually on the timing sheet, I believe Robbie Stapleford's actually got ahead of Charlie Oliver as well, as that's Jack McIntyre round. So as we saw in race 1 with Jordan Brennan having a nightmare, this is Jack McIntyre having a nightmare. These are the 2 championship rivals having almost back-to-back races of similar sort of styles.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, that was turn 2 obviously, where we talked about in race 1 that obviously the angle of the corner, it can really sort of almost upset the cars to the point that they spin. It's if you go too tight. I'm just wondering if someone went a little bit tight and one spin caused a collision or something like along those lines. But whatever happened, it's put McIntyre now back down to 14th. Walters is in 13th, so it's Jack McIntyre not having the greatest race 2 after a very sort of sensible, mature driving race 1.
Yeah, unfortunately these things happen. I mean, we can speculate what happened in that hairpin, but I mean, whether it was Jack sort of the car break loose for him and him spinning it, which isn't a characteristic Jack normally does, or whether it was something happened in front where Jack's tried to avoid it, and because of how what I'm trying to say there, how gradient the corner is, or how steep the corner is, maybe Jack was trying to respond and the car's just bit on him. So it'd be interesting to try and find out what happened there. As you see, this is the battle for 3rd place. Mike Epps going for the move on Charlie Oliver.
And Stapleford up into 2nd already. I noticed that as you were sort of chatting away there, Dave, that Stapleford had got up into 2nd, and Mike Epps making short work of getting past Charlie Oliver. So we've got Stapleford next, back on the podium. The gap from Stapleford to Edmondson is 5 seconds, albeit by a tenth. Epps is 1.1 further back from Stapleford. So again, as I said earlier, those are the gaps to watch now for that podium, to see if Stapleford can close on Edmondson, and if he does, whether he takes too much life out of his tyres in doing so. He's good. I think for me, Stapleford needs to really potentially just manage his tyres and just think, 2nd place is a fantastic result for race 2, fantastic championship points with a win and a 2nd. That would be an absolutely awesome result for him this evening.
Yeah, well, I'm just actually trying to get up here the current championship stands the way they are. While Charlie Oliver down to 10th place as well after a little spin there.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah,
I believe there's Andy Dorman fighting with Isaac Smith here. So yet again, Andy Dorman having a great race up into the top 10.
Very much so. Jordan Brennan just looking as well. We've got Edmondson leading, Stapleford 2nd, Epps 3rd, Brennan 4th, Max Bird 5th, Rob Butler 6th, Isaac Smith 7th, Andy Dorman 8th, Johnson 9th, Carroll rounds out the top 10th. Charlie Oliver there after that little spin, he's now down to 11th. But Mick Sutton in 12th. Jack McIntyre having a nightmare of a race down in 13th. Robin Walters in 14th, Gallagher 15th, and Laramie in 16th. As we're now looking at Dorman and is that Isaac Smith? Sorry, yeah. So Dorman has now just got past Isaac Smith for 7th place, so battling hard, and they do have Johnson just in the background, potentially waiting to pounce if they tangle wheels.
Yeah, so that you saw there in that hairpin was exactly what I was on about. You know, Isaac Smith there was with the tighter line, which you would think is faster. Andy Dorman round the outside managed to get on the power harder, had the traction and managed to get about a car width. As we see Andy Dorman trying to go up the inside here. A fantastic race not to hit wheels there. Will he try and hang it around the inside of this? I would have thought so. Isaac gave him room. Isaac's ran a little bit wide. Andy Dorman probably gave a little bit too much room there back on Isaac, and he's probably lost another car there. Yeah, this is bringing Mark Johnson right into the picture.
It is, but that's great awareness from those drivers there, great respect and fantastic racing. Like you say, maybe a little bit too much room given, but for me, better that way than tangling wheels and causing an incident.
That's true.
Fantastic racing, and the slipstream's going to really take effect now for all three cars. I think Johnson's maybe not quite close enough to get on the gearbox, but I'm sure he'll be feeling some sort of benefit where he is there.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the championship points here. Whoa, as Andy Dorman has a slide, that's great. Anyone who has driven these cars, to hold a slide like that, the difference in here between a car snapping and putting you in the wall and catching it and saving it is such a fine margin. So that's a great drive there by Andy Dorman. I'm really impressed this week.
Yeah, and while we're watching these guys battling away, that's a treacherous turn and that's contact. And
again the save.
Good save, and I think, to be fair, I think that was a case of... Johnson was just lifting on the throttle a bit as well. I don't think he wanted to push him round. So again, I think good driving from all involved.
Yeah, it was respectful driving.
Yeah, I think Stapleford he's got the gap down to 3.3 with 8 minutes to go. So Edmondson does need to watch that time. He does need to potentially try and manage that gap a little bit better and maybe start to put some faster laps in.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I was in Max's position whether I'd be reading it like that. We know Robbie's really fast, but we're in a position here, as we see, Max Edmondson's dropping down. I can only presume that must be a spin. Robbie Stapleford's been promoted up in the first, and Matty Gepps in the second. So we don't know what's happened there.
Maybe Max Edmondson did read it like me, pushed it a bit too hard, and maybe just he's gone beyond the limits, and it's cost him some time.
Oh, that's a real shame. I hope that wasn't my first commentator's curse. It might have been. I'm sorry, Max.
I don't think it was your first one, mate. I think you've done it before. But we've got Robbie Stapleford now potentially on for the double win this evening, which from a very talented young driver as Robbie Stapleford, that would be an absolutely awesome result for him. But Mike Epps is 1.2 seconds back. Will he want to take 2 second places tonight? You can bet your bottom dollar he's going to go for the win. As we've just seen someone spinning off there. I think that was Butler. Butler lost it and he's dropping down the order and did well not to have some contact there as he was trying to just get the car pointing in the right direction. But Rob Butler's now dropped down to 11th place, so a bit of disappointment for Rob there.
Yeah, I imagine that probably came with a good shout of Irish anger, that I would imagine. Yeah, I mean, I'm just actually having a look here at the championship points. Robbie came into this, I believe, 5th in the championship, and he's actually promoted himself up to 3rd after race 1, up to 64 points with Jordan Brennan 66 and Jack McIntyre on 76. So I can't quite work out the maths here, but I believe if Robbie Stapleford wins this race, he'll actually go from coming into this round 5th in the championship to actually having the overall lead, which is an outstanding drive to come away with.
It is, and shame on me, because when I was mentioning the championship contenders at the start of this evening, didn't even mention it because I was focusing on the top 2, top 3 to be fair, and that just goes to show with the point structure we've got how fast things can change at one round.
Yeah, I mean, we can see how fast and frantic these races are, but I think we've probably got the point system about right here for the championship that allows the championship to stay interesting all the way to that last round.
I agree 100%, mate. Yeah. But I mean, Stapleford has still got it to do because Epps is closing. That gap is just a shade, and it is only a shade under a second now to Stapleford. So he's definitely, Max. I think, Robbie Stapleford this time is going to have a little bit more on his plate than he had in race one. I think Mike Epps is a seasoned racer. He's not going to make, if he did make any mistakes, he's not going to make the same mistakes twice. He's going to push hard. He's going to try and get back onto that gearbox of Stapleford, and he's going to put Robbie under some extreme pressure, I believe, very, very soon.
Yeah, so on board here with Mike Epps, he's 0.8. I reckon if he gets within that 0.4, he's going to think this is on, but that's when we get that turbulent air, like you said, really affects the balance of the car, and he might just think this is not worth throwing away a second place for the sake of getting an extra few points here. But the interesting battle I'm looking at is between Jordan Brennan and Max Edmondson. Now, Jordan Brennan now will be thinking Jack McIntyre's back where I was in race one. I really need this podium to make these points work, and that will put us right in contention with the overall championship.
Yeah, very much so, and that's what it's all about. But I mean, do you think Robbie Stapleford will be thinking, if Mike Epps gets on his gearbox, you know what, I don't really need this win, second place will do me just as well, and it'll put me in contention for... I don't know if he will he? He'll just... Robbie Stapleford will be going for the win tonight.
Well, to tie it in, I sort of hope I'll back what Dave Jones has posted on YouTube there. Let's have a photo finish. I would agree. It'd be quite good to see a slipstream last lap and a photo finish across the line. But I'll try and work out the points. I'm not going to promise this one, but I'm really interested to see the championship points after this race is done, because this might put first, second, third and fourth all within about 3 or 4 points, which will be incredible going into the last round of the championship.
Yeah, and that's what makes a great championship, when the point structure is like that it can keep things as close as that, and it's a battle between not just 2 drivers but 3 or 4 drivers, potentially maybe even more, going into the last race, and it's all to play for. No one can sit back and rest on the laurels. They've really got to come to work, and they've got to work hard and go for the wins. That's what we want to see, as we're looking at Max Bird now, chasing down Isaac Smith and chasing down Jordan Brennan, and looking like he's looking tasty for 4th place, as you were sort of saying. Brennan really could do with that podium. I think he's going to have Max Bird to worry about before he can worry about Edmondson. Yeah,
I mean, we haven't actually mentioned Max Bird a lot, which I don't know how with the car coloured that brightly. Impressive first race drive and another impressive second race drive. There's nothing this lad is doing wrong. It's 5/10 down with Mike Epps here on the lead of Robbie Stapleford. So this now, Mike Epps is thinking, now this is on. This is on now. But we'll just see going into this last part of the track, are we going to see Robbie just open that gap again? Has that gap been closed all with that slipstream, or is Robbie's tyres maybe starting to go off a bit here?
Do you know what? I think Mike Epps potentially will have had that Allen key out in the break between the races, and I think he will have adjusted his aero ever so slightly, because I think he like I say, I don't think he'll make that same mistake twice. I think he's probably got a bit more of a compromise on the downforce, and it's working for him, because I think he'd got it to within sort of 4/10. Robbie's eked out a 10th there on him, but I don't think it's not as impressive, or it's not as drastic as the first race, where he pulled out half a second on him very, very quickly within a lap. I think we're literally talking about a couple of tenths here, so we might see Mike Epps very much on the gearbox of Robbie Stapleford once they come back onto the start-finish straight and the first slipstream section. And if he can do that, then along the second straight, third straight, he's game on for an overtake.
Yeah, I would have thought Robbie Stapleford will have sweaty palms right now. As we see on board here with Jack McIntyre battling with Rob Butler. Now, we know from past, this has been frantic. These drivers have had several collisions. Rob is, a very aggressive driver. Jack wants these points back. We'll wait and see. But to be fair, Rob hasn't defended that hard at all, has he? He's going to go for the cutback. Jack gets a little bit squirrely on the brakes, but fair play to Rob. Gave him the gap. And Jack's in chasing Andy Carroll.
Yeah, and somebody else just, I think, went off at the back there. I think that was Johnson having another moment as I went through turn 1. But yeah, Epps is now 6 tenths behind Stapleford, and that gap seems to be holding, or it has done for the last sort of half a lap or so. So it'll be interesting to see if Epps can pull it down. But let's not forget, Epps is going to be working just as hard as Stapleford, so the tyre wear is going to be the same for both of them. As we see Max Bird now really putting Brennan under a lot of pressure, and he's right on the back of his gearbox, and Brennan's going to be feeling the breathing down the back of his neck.
Yeah, this isn't what Jordan needs, to be fair. Max is in his slipstream, in Jordan's slipstream, sorry. He's putting the pressure on, but Jordan really needs to get his head down and actually chase Max Edmondson to get their points. So having Max in his mirrors here, it's not doing him any favours, but fair play to Max. He is driving the wheels off this car to stay on the back of Jordan here, and I wouldn't be surprised in the closing stages if it's this close, he'll be in that slipstream and he'll put one up the inside.
Yeah, it looks like Epps has made a bit of a mistake because he's now 2.5 seconds back from Stapleford. The clock has hit 0, so all Robbie Stapleford, and I say all because I don't think I could do it, but Robbie Stapleford just needs to bring it home, cross the line, and go on to the final lap of the race. So he's literally got the lap he's on now and one more lap to finish to make it a double this evening. He's got a cushion of 2.5 seconds back to Epps, who has put some pressure on him in the latter third of this race, it has to be said, but Robbie hasn't put a foot wrong so far. He's just kept it going, he's driven his lines, he's done what he needs to do, even when the gap was getting smaller. As I said, it was Epps that was having to work hard, and it looks like Epps made a mistake, and it's cost him a couple of seconds. But another man that's putting the pressure on is Max Bird here in 5th place. He's relentless, he's really pushing Jordan Brennan now, and Jordan Brennan really, he won't even be thinking about that 3rd place now. All he's thinking about is, I need to hang on to this 4th place because points make prizes, and he really does need to hang on. But Max Bird is doing everything in his power to put Jordan under pressure. He's really staying in the slipstream, and the dirty air, yes, it's affecting Max. We can see Max is running a little bit wide here and there, but he's doing a sterling job of keeping absolutely as tight as he can to the back of Jordan Brennan now as they come through the final turn and onto the start finish. Oh, Max Bird just got that a little bit wrong as he turned in just that little bit too soon for me, and he clipped that sausage curve on the inside, which really unsettled the car there, Dave.
Yeah, well, what I've noticed there is Jordan Brennan, that last lap is only 1.6 seconds off Max Edmondson in front. So this might not be over yet, depending on how hard Jordan pushes it. They're not lapping nearly the lap times they were doing at the start of the race. So there's definitely time in the laps yet. But yeah, what a save from Max Bird. That was so very nearly a huge snap into the wall. So to save that, he needs to just regain it, bring it home in 5th. He's done a stellar drive in race 1, another fantastic drive in race 2. He'll be happy with the point standing there.
Yeah, but Robbie Stapleford, what a drive. What 2 fantastic drives this evening. He started this race in 12th place. He fought his way through the grid. He's got what looks like no damage to those wings, which when you're battling your way through a pack of cars, open wheelers, that's saying something. But to get up into 1st place, and then to take the pressure from a driver of Mike Epps' standing is absolutely fantastic, and he's done what he needs to do as he comes around the final couple of corners now, and he's going to put himself in a fantastic position to really contend this championship next week at the final round there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to break it to him that I think at the moment he is currently winning the championship now. I don't want to break that to him in case it's not right, but yeah, fantastic drive from Robbie. I think he'll admit himself. I'm going to ask him in the interview, sorry. I'll ask him in the interview. He hasn't had the first 2 rounds that he probably thinks he deserves. But to come into round 3, have the car underneath him, it's maybe a track that he's really getting on with, and 2 wins. It doesn't get any better than that.
No, absolutely fantastic drive. So at the moment, as it stands, we've got Robbie Stapleford has brought it home for the double this evening, a race 1 and a race 2 win. Mike Epps, race 1 and a race 2 3rd place. Max Edmondson for race 2 3rd, Brennan 4th, Max Bird 5th. So Brennan hung on to that 4th place from enormous pressure from Max Bird. Isaac Smith 6th, Charlie Oliver 7th, Dorman 8th, Butler 9th. McIntyre recovered it up to 10th place, but not a great race for Jack. A few incidents and whatnot, maybe some of it was out of his control, but he brought it home in 10th place. Carroll 11th, Sutton 12th, Johnson 13th, Larami 14th, Gallagher at 15th, and Walters 16th. fantastic. Both races this evening, Dave, I'm sure you'll agree. I think they were possibly the best races of the season so far for these cars.
Yeah, I think it probably was. I knew Red Bull Ring was going to provide some good entertainment. 2 or 3 big long straights for possible slipstream. It's provided great racing and actually relatively clean racing as well. Only one safety car tonight.
Yeah.
No double safety car during the races. This is what we come and want to spectate it for. It provides good close racing, and we've ended up a championship that is going to go down to the last round yet again.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention that as well, Dave. The fact that there was no need for a safety car in race 2, because the safety car does a fantastic job when we have those incidents and people spin off. We bring the safety car out. It gives everyone a chance to regroup, and we obviously get the green light racing again as soon as everyone's grouped up. So it's great for that. But in race 2, there was no need for it. Fantastic respect to all these drivers, for keeping it as clean as they did, because as we saw in those opening laps, 2, 3 and even 4 wider points, and not just on the straights, going through some of the corners they were 2 and 3 wide. It was absolutely fantastic, and we saw lots of demonstrations of very, very respectful racing between the lads tonight, all the way through the field. So great stuff from VRRC. Yeah, for sure. I believe we've got have we got the lads in? Well, I think we've got the lads in the interview now, so I'll jump down and we'll get you down in, Steve, as well, and we can have a good on chat. We'll have a chin wag, let's go.
We like a good chin wag, us northern people, eh? Right then, down in the interview room, we'll start off with 3rd place. Max Edmondson. I gave you the commentator's curse. I don't know whether you're there. Are you there? Is Max Edmondson there? It will be push to talk, buddy.
He's just repaying the favour, Dave, because
he's repaying his favour. That's because I put him down as the wins in the bag, isn't it? He's leaving us cold here, isn't he? Is it there now, Max? It's not there. He's left me cold. Right. Anyway, we'll come back to Max if he comes back. But on to 2nd place. Oh, he's there. Was that Max?
Yeah. Max is in the channel. Yeah.
There's Max there. Oh, sorry, mate. I thought you were leaving me cold there, because I did put you down as the win is yours. You've got a 4.5 second buffer, and then I believe you span it. And yeah, sorry for the commentator's curse there.
Back tyres were gone. I think my pressures were a bit wrong, and I made a tiny mistake and just put it straight in the wall. But I think Mike and Robbie were going to catch me anyway. They were way too fast for me.
Yeah, it's a real shame to drop the win, but to be fair, the recovery drive, I know how hard it is to get these tyre pressures and the tyre temps down after you spin. You've spun, you've ended up still finishing in 3rd place, holding off Jordan Brennan there. It's still a stellar drive going forward with race 2.
It wasn't too bad, but after race 1, I didn't do that well in race 1, so obviously that helped me with the start for race 2, but...
Well, I've heard that Santi might possibly be bringing you an upgraded wheel going into the the last race of the championship. So, might we see you on a direct drive going into the last round?
Yep. Hopefully, it will make me faster. Probably not, but we'll always try.
Well, good luck with that, buddy, and watch your wrists.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done, Max. And it's not always easy to come back into race 2 after a bad race 1 and the nightmares of that. But even after you made that mistake, as it were, you lost the back end there. It was still a good recovery drive. So well done, buddy.
Thank you, Steve.
Right, on to 2nd place, and Mike Epps yet again, another stellar drive from near the back of the grid. Did you think? Steve, I'm going to take Steve's line here. Did you have the Allen keys out going into race 2?
I did, yeah. I did. I had to make some sort of change because I looked at the difference in.
I knew it.
Yeah. I was sat there like, right, I've got to choose like a small compromise, not too much. Might have overdone it, because I think some guys are running what I was running or something similar on the way through. So I was coming off the hairpin at the top of the hill, and 2 gear changes later, I'm literally defending for my life for 6th or something.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, oh god, it's gone the wrong way. But it is a lot better through the last 3 corners. So it's a compromise. I think the lap time shows that it's definitely a better race car. But I think credit to Robbie, he's obviously spent some time fine tuning that, and in the race, like he's just the better car out there, if you ask me. Few little skirmishes on the way through, like I was ahead of him coming through the pack, and then there was, I don't know, Robbie might remember because he was behind and I was in it, but there was 3 or 4 cars in the last sector and I just got bunched in, and
Yeah.
that was that, so I ended up falling back. But no, good race all the same. Massive, like almost race ending error about 2 laps from the end, so I just nursed it home with 12% on my rear left. So
Yeah, well, that was actually, there was 2 things I wanted to ask you about. So the first one was what sort of happened, because we noticed you were getting within sort of that second bracket of Robbie, and then you dropped to 2.5 seconds. So where on the track did that happen? And I take it you nearly put it in the wall.
yeah, last corner I just went in a touch hot, and you know how these things, they kind of snap out on you, but unless you're literally eagle-eyed staring at the nose of the car on the screen, you don't notice it until it's a little bit late. It's
Yeah.
almost like, whether it's, I doubt it's my steering setup because I'm fairly full on with it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it just gets away from you before you have time to manage it sometimes, and
Yeah.
it just snapped, and I was on, I don't know, 180 degrees of opposite lock at the apex, so I just used all the runoff and got it back and carried on. So I think I had pace, but it's just so tricky once the rears have worn. So one of those, but yeah, good fun. I guess fastest man on track doesn't always win, hey?
Well, that's what it shows, you know. You were fastest in quali, but maybe under race setup, you know, that higher aero really just helps when the tyre starts to go off, just to give you that bit more confidence in the car and a bit better balance. But the last thing I was going to ask you was, we did actually see on stream that moment you're on about, and it was about 4 or 5 cars all going into the last corner together. And I actually, you know, praised you for how well you dealt with that, because I saw Robbie coming in from the very outside the track, you on the inside line. It was looking like your nose into the side of his car, and like last minute you know, brake checked yourself, backed out, tucked in, and I said, you know, that's the drive of someone who has, first of all, great awareness and great racecraft, because that could have very easily ended up in a complete, you know, load of carnage. I haven't mentioned that word yet. Carnage.
That's a good sign, isn't it? You've got to the end of the race meeting and we haven't said that word yet. But
well, I'll tell you why. I've had people say I use the word carnage far too much. So I've took note tonight, and that's the first time I mentioned it, so they can't get wrong for that.
Also, was that your first commentator's curse, Dave? Was that your first experience of it? I feel like I want to say welcome to commentating now. That's you're officially fully in now.
We'll make
driver with your words.
Yeah, we'll make that his officially his first one, but I don't know if it is.
That's his initiation. No, cheers guys. Yeah, good stuff. I think this track, I don't really do any laps around here on any sim, so it's been a little bit of a learning process anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, really good fun. It's a shame for all the tech issues earlier in the season, because you know that drives like today would have been just what you want for the championship.
Yeah, well, if you stay in the interview chat here, you'll actually hear me tell Robbie Staple for the championship stats, and you might be pleasantly surprised whereabouts you are and how many points you're on. So yeah,
good job you said that, Dave, because I was just about to tell Mike where he was, so I won't spoil it. Yeah, off you go, mate.
Right, and on to our race winner yet again, Robbie Stapleford. What a drive!
Wow, I'm really surprised about that. First drive, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, to go through the grid the way you did, you know, without a safety car, so there wasn't any extra bunching, you know, a hell of a drive, because there wasn't any damage on the car, or what appeared to be any damage on the car. And, you know, you were battling in packs of, you know, surrounded by 4 cars, and you just seemed to drive through them, get the laps in, and then drive the way you did in race 1, not putting a foot wrong, looking after the tyres and bringing home the win.
Yeah, I think they've just all got their cars set up for down the straight, so once it comes to like the last 2 sectors, I couldn't just get them by them easy because they've not really got corner speed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know whether you want to know this, but you're going to find out anyway, because I'm going to tell you. But essentially, championship-wise now, that's actually put you at the top of the championship standings by 3 points. So, how it all turns around, because I believe you went into this 5th place in the championship?
Oh, sick.
6th place in the championship, and you've come out of round 3, top of the championship, taken it to round 4. You know, there's the standings there. Mike X has brought himself up to 77 points, which is 4th place. So, you know, he's within chance of the title. You got Jack McIntyre in 2nd place on 82 and Jordan Brennan on 79. So this championship is a proper 4-way battle going into the 4th round. It's anyone's game. I take it now, is the pressure on a bit more?
Yeah, definitely. When I was in 6th, I didn't really feel any pressure because it was Brendan and McIntyre would just have to keep the position and not make any mistakes, where now I've just not got to make any mistakes, absolutely, and just keep it clean.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to actually ask you that. Going into this round, with you being down in the championship, you probably thought the championship was neither here or there. It was sort of gone. But taking that pressure off, is that why we maybe saw the more relaxed drive? Because I said this in the race, and I said, sort of, I'm going to ask you it. The round 1 and round 2 probably weren't the results that you were after, looking at the pace you had. But, you know, a bit more relaxed. You've gone into round 3, and, you know, the results have just shown, you know, you can drive the wheels off this car. Your consistency was there, the results were there, and the point haul was there. So, mega.
Yeah, definitely went in more relaxed. Good to get the 3rd round double win again, like I did in Porsche. That's all good.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just wait until whatever the track is next, McGoy, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I was hoping you were going to pronounce it because I haven't got a clue what it's called either. I think it's Majoni or Magoni or McGoy or Majoni.
I'll just tell you boys, I put it in Google Translate and it pronounced it as Majoni. So.
Majoni.
Majoni. Never been around that track,
so whether it, yeah, well, I'm sure you'll make a fantastic job of it, Robbie, because tonight has been a fantastic drive from both you and Mike. To be fair, you know, both race wins for yourself, Robbie, and 2 seconds for Mike, and you know, fantastic driving from what is not the easiest of cars to wield around, and like you say, coming through the grid there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the championship wrapping up next week with 4 of you battling for the top spot. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So it's a big
watch out,
big,
boys. I'm off to practice.
Yeah, well, it's a big good look. It's a big good look from me, Mike, and just keep that Allen key handy, won't you?
Yeah, I might take it with me next time.
Yeah, good luck, boys, and well done on tonight's performance. Absolutely fantastic racing to watch. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, see ya.
Right, and Steve, out the comms box.
Yeah, absolutely.
See you, Time for a coffee, I think.
It was fantastic racing tonight, but before we do final thoughts on tonight,